Well, then I don't do that.
Chair Nanette Rodriguez,
Present?
Counselor Aaron Salazar,
Present.
Counselor Manuel Martinez, Counselor Dorothy Valdez,
Present.
Counselor Manny Martinez, absent, but you have a quorum.
Thank you. You have before you the agenda. Counselor Salazar made a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Counselor D Valdez, second the motion to approve the agenda. We'll move on to public
We have
comments.
to take a roll, Chair.
Yes, thank you for the reminder. Amethyst, will you take a roll?
Chair Nanette Rodriguez,
For the motion?
Counselor Aaron Salazar,
In favor.
Counselor Dorothy Valdez,
For the motion.
motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Maestas. And we'll move on to public comments.
No one for public comment.
Thank you, Amethyst. We'll move on to committee member comments. No comments? Next on the agenda is matters from the chair. I currently don't have anything concerning to report or to discuss. The next thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve the minutes by Counselor Didi Valdez, second by Counselor Aaron Salazar. Amethyst, can you call the roll
Chair Nanette Rodriguez,
for the motion?
Counselor Aaron Salazar,
In favor.
Counselor Dorothy Valdez,
For the motion.
motion carries.
Thank you, Amethyst. Next on the agenda is discussion and recommendation for items to full council. Mr. Jeremy Maestas.
Thank you, Honorable Chair Rodriguez, honorable members of the committee. Before you, you have a facilities use agreement from an organization that is requesting co-sponsorship by the city. This is coming from the Espanola Spartans, who are requesting the use of the Ranchitos baseball field, the top playground and restrooms. They're requesting for us to waive the gathering and permit and rental fees. In turn, they will recognize the city as a sponsor. The group will ensure to clean all facilities during and after their event, and they will be responsible to have direct contact with the recreation supervisor or designee in regards to cleanup, or any other questions that come about in regards to the facilities. The Spartans is a group, which is a Yaffle group of football, and they use the facilities to practice during the week. They're requesting it Monday through Thursdays from 6 PM to 8 PM, beginning August 1st up until October 30th. I did direct my recreation supervisor to go ahead and allow them to begin their practices due to time restraints. However, I did ask her to let them know that if this was not approved, that they would be required to pay the rental fees if it had not gotten approved. And I stand for any questions. If there's anything I can't answer, Maria is here and she will be able to answer it. And just also want to add that it's not just football, but also for the little cheerleaders as well.
Counselor Salazar.
I just had one, thank you. I just had one question. It's, they're saying it's a football cheer practice and they're going to be practicing on the baseball fields or on the top grass. Where?
I believe it's just on the top area. Is that correct, Maria?
Oh, in the outfield. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Counselor Didi Valdez.
Have have we sponsored them before? Have we let them use the facilities or the ground in the past?
Honorable Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee, Counselor Valdez. I don't know if we've sponsored these specific ones. Maria can chime in if we have, but I know we have sponsored the little Sun Devil group. Maria, have we sponsored the Spartans before? Did you catch that, Counselor Valdez?
I did not hear anything. I don't think she was
So,
speaking in.
Maria has indicated that they have requested to utilize the facilities in the past. However, they've never actually gone through the process of requesting sponsorship, and in an effort to ensure that we're being equitable and following the process. This is one of the things that I've asked that we make sure to follow when these organizations come forward to request the use of the facilities, that they're following the process as everybody else would. So they may have used it before, but it was just allowed internally and didn't go through the process. Now they are required to go through the process.
I have another question. So do they require insurance? I don't want to be liable for any, I hope no accidents occur, but for liability purposes.
They have submitted all of that information, ma'am.
Okay, and if we don't sponsor them, I just want to know how much it would have cost them.
As of now, for the most part, in regards to Ranchitos Park, on that, and we don't have a specific amount. It's basically the gathering fee that's done, which is $35.
So
But that's, pretty much on a daily basis. Does that make sense?
So on the fee, just to add to that, we do actually have it on the fee schedule for that part. I don't know what it means, and that's one of the things we'll be discussing tonight is on the rate fee. We do have it says use of entire park, which I'm assuming is just that upper area.
Correct.
It does indicate that we do charge them. A regular rate is $100 per day. If they're a nonprofit. If it's a nonprofit, it is $50 per day.
And they're going to be utilizing it every day till
We're gonna be
October.
using it Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8 PM, up until October 30th for at least the next 2-3 months about.
Wow, that would be really expensive for the littles.
Yep.
Yeah, it would add up fairly quickly.
No more questions for me.
Okay, so how does the committee feel about sponsoring the Yaffle group?
I'm all for the children of the community, so I would say yes, take it to full council.
I second it.
Counselor Didi Valdez Motion to take it to full council, second by Counselor Aaron Salazar. Amethyst, can you call the roll
Chair Nanette Rodriguez,
for the motion?
Counselor Aaron Salazar,
In favor?
Counselor Dorothy Valdez,
For the motion?
motion carries.
All right, thank you. We will go ahead and move this on to the next city council meeting for final approval.
Next on the agenda is department reports. Jeremy Maestas will be reporting.
Thank you, honorable chair, members of the committee. A lot going on in community services for the month of August. We've been working to finalize the repairs at the Lucero Center pool. I'm hoping that Maria will have additional updates, and fingers crossed that it's all great news. So she'll be touching on that here as she gets into her report. We did have the back to school pool party for the students of the valley that was hosted last Friday over at the Ranchitos pool. I'm taking it that it was a great success. The mayor had requested that he wanted us to open the facilities for the students of the valley, the youth of the valley who are preparing to go back to school so that they would have something to do. So we did have that. I know that Ashley worked with some local entities to help sponsor some drinks and stuff. And so we're very thankful to them for that. The community services department did host a meeting and cookout at the Ranchitos pool. Initially, this was scheduled for Friday before last, but because of the situation that we had going on, we had to reschedule that to Tuesday. One of the reasons for that was that I wanted to be able to thank our summer interns that were working in community services, as well as to have an opportunity to visit with my staff and see how things were going, and just to give that form of thanks to them for what they've done and what they're doing. Davry has went back to college, so we're gonna miss her, but we thank her for her time here at the city. She was a great help to the community services department, as well as all the other summer interns that we had. We had a young man from Parks, Ricky Jimenez. He's actually left to New Mexico State to pursue his educational career, as did Davry. And I think we had, who else did we have? Was it? Oh, and Andrea Padilla, who was one of our lifeguards, has left to New Mexico State as well. So we wish them the best and thank them for their time here with us at the city. We assisted in the coordination of the memorial for Muhammad that took place at the plaza. It was a very nice memorial. So thank you to all those who assisted in that. We did provide the location and assist with the Arts Festival poster contest that took place at the Misión y Convento. We've been collaborating with the Rio Arriba County Health Council. They're planning a For the People Substance Summit that is scheduled for Friday, August 19th, 2022. That'll be will be held at the Misión y Convento beginning at 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We collaborated with the Back to School Resource Fair that was sponsored through Project Race. That was also held at the Misión y Convento on the plaza grounds. It was a very good event for the students of the Valley. We collaborated with the Del Norte Love Foundation for them to have the Back to School Carnival that was held here on the Valdez Park this last weekend. We continue to provide assistance to the municipal clerk's office during this transition. Amethyst has continued to provide assistance to the new municipal clerk, as well to the deputy clerk when they need it. Thankfully, we have been able to fill the library clerk position and the assistant cook vacancy. So it looks like we're getting back up there and finally getting fully staffed. So that's really exciting. We've been working with the grants manager regarding the Valdez Park improvements. That may be put back a little bit because the budget that we got for those projects came in over the amount that we have to spend. So we're probably gonna have to go back to the drawing board on some of those things for Valdez Park. Continued communications and collaborations with the Northern New Mexico Regional Arts Center, the City of Espanol Chamber of Commerce, and the San Gabriel Historical Society. We've continued with facility rentals, as well as working on the new administrative policies and procedures for facility rentals. And I'll go over that here in just a little bit. And again, we've been collaborating with the Rio Arriba County Clerk's Office regarding the November election. That's been primarily Maria. Before I go into the administrative policies and procedure discussion, we do have some guests here from the who are representatives from the Veterans Memorial Wall who have a request. They had initially brought this request to me, and I felt that it was imperative for it to come before the committee so that you all can hear what it is that they're trying to do. So Chris, if you all want to come up to the table here, and you can go ahead and address the committee, and then after they're done with their report, I'll go over the administrative policies and procedures that I'm requesting.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Chris. Thank you for joining us. I'm on morning.
Yeah. Good evening, committee members. For those that don't know me, my name is Christopher Archuleta. I'm the former president for the Espanola Veterans Memorial Wall Commission. I am the post quartermaster for Hill v. Hill Post 5610 here in Espanola, and I'm currently the state commander for the Department of New Mexico Veteran of Foreign Wars. For many years at the Memorial Wall, we have collected torn and tattered flags to be retired in a proper flag retirement ceremony. Over the years, flags have been dropped off in a white kitchen trash can. And this is next to our office. That particular drop point is not always accessible to the community to drop off their flags. I found flags that were placed on the metal gate in front of the courtyard to the convento. Our VFW post here in Espanola is asking this committee for permission to place a permanent flag drop box in front of our window. This is for the community and surrounding counties to have a place to drop off serviceable flags at any time of the day. And this is what it looks like. This drop box is constructed out of stainless steel and will be anchored down to a concrete pad. That installation will be done by my VFW post. This box is not breakable by any means. I have seen the videos. It does have a donation slot if people do want to donate money, or if they choose to leave a donation rather. The volunteers at the Espanola Veterans Memorial Wall Commission will be solely in charge of checking the drop box daily to ensure that the flags are removed and placed in the storage inside the memorial wall, and any donations collected will go towards purchase of new flags or whatever the Espanola Veteran Commission may need. We hope that the community will give us permission to install this drop box. Committee members, thank you for your time. Is there any questions from the committee members?
I have a comment.
We can just give the committee an idea of where the box is going to be located specifically.
I would like to put the box actually in front of our window where the red rock is at. We were gonna put it, or we were thinking of placing it where the dirt is at in between the white benches. We felt that that would not be feasible because that part is used for fiestas, especially for the fiestas, and we felt that it could get damaged by somebody backing their trailer into it or whatever. So we came up with the idea of putting it right in front of our window where the red rocks are at.
The Red Rock, is that on the east side of the convento? Between the trees and stuff?
Yeah. As you walk up the walkway,
Yeah.
the first window is the gift shop, the second window is our office, and then the third window is.
Oh, okay, I know.
Counselor Didi Valdez.
Yes, I want to thank Mr. Archuleta for his service. And I think that the flags deserve the respect of being placed in a safe box rather than the flags just being left wherever on the fence post or whatever. That's my comment.
Thank you. I would like to thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And I concur with Mrs. Didi Valdez about where we should be placing these flags. It's an honor to receive them back, to dispose of them the way that they were intended to be disposed of. Thank you for your forward thinking. The box is beautiful.
And I have it on display if any of you guys would like to take a look at it personally. Give me a call and I'll make arrangements, get you guys over there and show it to you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, it is really a nice box. And, I just want to thank Chris and the other gentlemen who are here with him. They do a lot of work and volunteering to keep up the wall. And Chris is always on my case to make sure that we don't forget the wall. So that's a good thing. So I did want this to come before the committee. It is not an action item, but it doesn't seem like there's any but the council, the committee seems to be on board with it. So I'll go with Mr. Yutzi on Wednesday when I get back to the office and get his blessing, and then we'll go from there.
Appreciate it. Just FYI, these two members back here is Benjamin Pierce. He's our post commander. And the gentleman next to him is Warner Clough. He's our junior vice for the post.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Committee members, I appreciate this greatly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. All right, so moving on to the next item in regards to my report. One of the things that I've been saying that we need to work on in regards to facility rentals, as that seems to be one of the bigger areas of community service that we tend to get a lot of requests for, is establishing a set of administrative policies and procedures when it comes to the rental of facilities. Now, we have in place an adopted set of policies and procedures, as well as a resolution that was passed back in 2019. However, the majority of what's listed in this administrative policies and procedures seems to only have been with the idea of parks and the sports fields. And one of the things that I'm concerned with, and that I've been concerned with for the last year, is when it comes time to rent out the facilities, whether it's the Mission, whether it's the senior center, whether it's the educational center, the bond house, so on and so forth. There's always questions that come about in regards to how early can they come in and set up? How late can they stay to set up? Do we charge them if they want to have rehearsal for a wedding? Do we not charge them? Do we allow them to put decorations on the walls, et cetera, et cetera? And so while a lot of these things are usually administratively decided, I think it would be in the best interest of the city to have a set of policies and procedures that reflect that. And it's not just a matter of, well, it depends who's in charge when you ask. And so with that being said, I developed a draft form of facility rental guidelines that I've given you all, and I can send those. While they don't necessarily need the approval of the committee or the governing body, I would entertain and appreciate any feedback from the committee that you feel is necessary in these facilities. One of the things that I think we really need to start looking at very closely is the manner in which the city co-sponsors activities. There seems to be a lot of questions that come up sometimes, and for certain activities from some people, and then from some people it's for certain events. And I think that in order to be equitable and consistent, we need to ensure that we have a set of policies and procedures that are consistent across the board. So what's going to happen for one happens for everyone. Not only that, it also removes that concern of the city potentially violating the Anti-Donation Act, which a lot of people don't understand sometimes, that the city cannot just give things to people or donate things to people, because it does turn into the possibility of the violation of the Anti-Donation Act. So with that being said, I stand for any questions. One of the things that was concerning to me mostly was the fees and how we determine to charge those fees. On the initial fee schedule that we have that's been adopted, excuse me, if you look, for example, on the building and park rates for the Mission y Convento to rent the facility for a wedding, we charge $425 per day. But then right beneath it, we charge $225 per day for, or excuse me, $200 per day for a meeting. Well, what constitutes a meeting? If we're gonna have a potluck there, we can say it's just a meeting. Are you gonna charge us the $200 or are you gonna charge us the $425? It doesn't necessarily break it down. Then we also have in some locations like the senior center, we charge by the hour. Other locations we charge by the day. So we need to have some consistency. Are we going to charge by the hour or are we going to charge by the day? This also has to come because we have to have staff that is going to be available to open the facilities because we can't just be issuing keys out. That was a practice that was stopped many moons ago at the city, that we don't issue keys. We also have a discounted rate for city employees and for nonprofit organizations. So that technically comes down to half the price of what we would charge or anybody from the general public if they're not a nonprofit or a city employee. Prior to this being adopted, my understanding was that city employees were just using the facilities for free. It doesn't happen like that anymore. If we're charging the members of the public, the employees have to pay too. Now, granted, the employees do get it at a discounted rate, but they still have to pay. They still have to follow the process. That's for everybody from the top all the way to the bottom. We follow that process. So I cleaned up the fee schedule. I put that in your packet. I did clean that up a little bit in regards to how we determine that. The amounts didn't change, but we do have it cleaned up quite a bit as far as what we're going to look at as far as when it comes to rentals. We have the general guidelines, what the purpose is for these administrative policies and procedures, how we do the receipts of funds. We do specify in there in regards to senior center activity programs within the centers because we do rent the senior center. However, we want people to know that the program that we run there with the senior center takes priority over any events. We're not going to start disrupting senior lunch, senior breakfast, senior activities for any type of rentals. In addition, we've also listed on there that the commercial kitchen is only to be utilized by authorized staff. It's a liability. We don't have money to be repairing a lot of this commercial equipment, so we want to make sure that we take care of that. We do indicate that private activities are permitted in our facilities, and it also goes down as far as what the city expects. City functions, again, in any of the facilities take priority over any private rentals. If we're going to have a city-sponsored event in Valdez Park and somebody wants to rent it, the city event takes priority over that. We do have an indication in regards to insurance for people who are wanting to rent it, what the insurance requirements are. The fee schedule, we go over that. Parking, we go over what prohibited activities are not allowed on city property. We also discuss what personal losses and damages arise at the rental. The city doesn't take any responsibility for anything that happens during their event. But other than that, that's pretty much all of that in a nutshell. But I do stand if there's any questions or any input that the committee would like to give. The current policies and procedures that we have in place for the ball fields and the parks will stay. I would just like to add this incorporated with what we already have in place as it pertains to the sportsplex and the parks. This would be mainly for facilities such as the senior center, the Misión y Convento, the bond house, the actual facilities, not so much the parks, because the parks, we already have a pretty good set of rules in there. And then if we are able to adopt it, maybe cleaning up the facility rental fee.
Councilor Aaron Salazar.
Thank you. Jeremy, so this is still working on this?
Yes, sir.
So this is not the policy right here, right? This,
Honorable Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee, Councilor Salazar, no, it's not. It's just a draft right now. I haven't taken it any further to Manager Yahtzee to see his thoughts on it just yet. So it's still just a draft one.
I have a comment.
Councilor
Um,
Diaz.
Jeremy, if you can email me the packet. I don't know if you have already. I did not see it in my email. But I just want to commend you on all the hard work that you've done on this and for taking the initiative, because all the points that you brought up, mainly being fair to everyone, the public, the employees, and having the process and procedures that makes everything so much easier, and it just makes for a smoother running. Everything runs smoother when you follow the policies and procedures, let me say it that way. So thank you, and I would like to see it, if you could email it to me.
Absolutely, Counselor.
So I have a couple of just comments. Thank you. As Councilor Didi Valdez said, for updating our policies and procedures for facilities, and taking the time to thoughtfully think it through. one of the things that I saw when I read through it, Jeremy, was the procedure for when you receive that fee, whatever it is, right? I think I saw that the fee will be accepted and deposited. However, it didn't specify that for the holding fee, right? Or the rental fee. That I guess, or the damage fee that people get back in the event that there's no damage done to the facility. Where does that money remain?
Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee. So typically what happens is we do collect a $250 refundable fee for damages or for if the facility is not left in clean order the way they received it. So typically what will happen is when they go in and fill out the paperwork, they'll be required to give two checks, one check for the rental fee and the other check, the $250 fee. The $250 fee check is held on to until after their event. And then if everything's left in good order after the staff inspects it, they will give them their check back. If it's not, then at that point, the staff deposit that check and then they either take part of it or all of it, depending on the need to retain that check. But typically what happens is we don't deposit it until after the event. If everything's left in good order, left the way they found it, they get it right back.
And so the process is for holding that check. What's your process for holding the check? Does the person that receives it keep it, or where does it go? Where is it stored?
So it is, Honorable Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee, it is stored with the facility rental contract. And it's stored in a secured location. So for example, Dora does the rentals for the senior center. She locks those up in her office, has them in a binder. So she attaches the check to the facility use agreement rental form. Amethyst does the same thing for the Missione Convento, the plaza, all those other areas. So what happens is they keep those in a secured location with that rental agreement. Like I say, after the event takes place of everything, Dora will do the inspection of the senior center, Amethyst or myself will do it of the other facilities. Everything's okay, we'll indicate that on the form, have them come back, pick up their check. And I think the initial that they got their check back, or do we just do that internally? They do initial? Okay, we do it internally that we gave them back their deposit and on this date it was returned back to them.
Very good. Sounds like a good process. I know that the bathrooms came up for the fiestas, and Counselor Manny Martinez was concerned about that. Is that in a different policy? Because I didn't see it in the facilities policy. Did I miss it?
Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee, no, I don't think you missed it, and that's a good point. I don't think I put it in there. I can definitely put it in there. How would you all like to see that? Is that something that you all would like to see that are being made available for every activity? Is that something that you feel should be made available only if there is not alternative restroom options available? How would you like to see that?
Mr. Jeremy, would it depend on the amount of people that are going to be there? Because I remember it being brought up that because of the amount of people, the bathrooms at the convento area would not be used, and also for vandalism. So I don't know if that would be one point, the amount of people, if you would need to have the extra porta potties. I don't know, something to think about.
So, Chair Rodriguez, honorable members of the committee, typically since my arrival in the city, and then even prior to that, when I was working with the fiestas, typically if it was going to be a big event, the city would always require that you get portable restrooms. One, obviously, because of the issues with the vandalism in the restrooms. The other issue being with the fact that we tend to have homeless people that hang around the plaza. And sometimes if we're having a family-friendly event and children are going into the restroom and people are shooting up in there, it becomes a problem. I'm not saying that that couldn't happen with portable restrooms, but it's more manageable, I think, with the portable restrooms. The other issue is the situation with the plumbing, where we're having toilets being backed up because people were clogging them up with paper towels, stuff like that. Which in a sense, we're gonna have to start, if we're gonna start opening those up, then that brings into a whole other spectrum of having a staff member available. If toilets start getting clogged up, or if we need to get a plumber out there. So I guess it would just all depend on the event, but like I said, typically for those big events, the light parade, the fiestas, things like that, they've always been required to get portable restrooms, but if that's something that this committee would like to see changed in those policies, then we can do that to reflect that those restrooms start being open.
I think you're right, Jeremy. I think just noting on the policies and procedures that if porta potties are made available, that the bathrooms at the convento will be locked.
I think You're the expert.
Yeah,
In this, but I do think that we need to clarify how we're going to handle the bathroom procedure going forward, since it's something that continues to come up. I certainly agree with you that those bathrooms should be locked, especially if it's going to be a public event. It would take another person from your department to man those bathrooms to ensure that there would not be damage. It can become quite costly, and those bathrooms aren't very big to begin with. So it's just food for thought for you.
and just one more comment. I guess, like it was mentioned, if we are gonna have the portable restrooms, the bathrooms should remain locked, no matter for whom, just because it was brought up.
That's very
Absolutely. Honorable Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee, Counselor Salazar. Yes, sir, we will definitely ensure that if that's going to be the case, that it be that way for everyone.
I think the last thing that I want to add is I think you bring up a very valid point, Jeremy, and I think it's something that really does need a little more looking at, right, is the fee schedule, because it's all over the place. So I'm glad to know that you're looking at that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I appreciate the fact that you're sharing it with the committee. Thank you.
Absolutely. If there's no other questions, Honorable Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee, we can move on with the next item on the agenda.
Next item on the agenda is a report for the senior center, Mrs. Dora.
Good evening, Chair Nanette Rodriguez, members of the council. As you can see on my report, our revenue has gone up. This is for the July month. I do have the Family Learning Center, which is the little school right across from us, wanting us to take over the contract for feeding them for breakfast and lunch. We did it 2 years ago, a couple of years prior to that. Just to give you an idea, is they ask for Monday through Friday breakfast before 8:30, lunch at 11:30. They were requesting that we deliver that breakfast and that lunch. It's what we did in the past, and we packaged their breakfast and their lunch. We took it to them, and prior to COVID, we were actually using real dishes. So aside from taking them the breakfast and the lunch, we were having to pick up the dishes, bring them back and wash them and get them ready for the next day. It was a little bit hectic. The reason why they couldn't come to the center itself to eat their breakfast and lunch is our tables are too big for them. They did bring us little tables, but they weren't enough and they couldn't afford to buy any more. They do go by the guidelines of CYFD as far as the food. For the most part, they were trying to go with a menu that we make on a monthly basis. And most of the food that we serve is servable for them. They are under those guidelines. However, we do have to purchase sugar-free Jell-O, 100% juice, and stuff that we don't necessarily look at our menu to serve They also have to have, of course, a grain, a fruit, and, the full plate, which we don't do that as well. So there's a few guidelines that we have to follow for them. With that said, this year, they are proposing that the most that they can pay is $2.50 for the breakfast and $3.50 for the lunch. Prior contracts to this proposal, it was $2 for breakfast and $3 for lunch. As you all know, the food industry has gone up quite a bit, and so has our paper products. So with that said, I can give you a little bit of a math here for our breakfast. If they pay us as they propose $2.50, and there's about 36 kids, give or take 31 to 36 on a daily basis for breakfast and for lunch, times the 5 days, Monday through Friday, that they're gonna need, that's gonna be $450 for breakfast and $630, which is $1,080, that they're gonna be paying us for that month. Our cost, however, more or less is gonna be for breakfast, $5 to $7, depending on what we give them. And for lunch, $7 to $9. So it's a big difference serving them. They did approve it, which was RCM. I did take it to our city manager, Mr. Yatsi, and he wanted some numbers, which I am going to present this to him. He wants to present it to the full council and see what their thoughts is on that. But just so you guys have an idea as far as more or less if we do serve them. We do need an additional person to be able to come in early, have the breakfast packet and have it ready to take it to them. The same thing with their lunch. She did propose, Miss Kathy from the Family Learning Center proposed that they could come and eat at the center, which we don't serve breakfast for, so that wouldn't be a problem, them coming over. But for lunch, they would have to come a little early so that they can be done by 11:30 as we start serving by 11:45. We do have our bingo going on Monday through Thursday, so it can get pretty loud. I don't know if that's going to be a problem for them. When they do come in, they are a little bit rowdy. They are 5 and 6 year olds. They have their little Christmas plays when they come over, and parents do come as well with them. So with that said, it's going to be a little bit of a problem setting up their tables every day. In other words, I will be needing an additional person there because it's been quite hectic now that we are shorthanded. Having to ask for additional help from other departments. I thank God we have Lucero Center and the library and Ms. Graviela who come and help us from time to time when we need to. So just so you can keep that in mind when making that decision, this is an additional 72 plates that we do have to do on a daily basis. I would hate to not be able to feed them, but it is a little bit of a weight on our end. I did talk to the staff, and I mean, whatever we have to do, we have to do. We'll leave the decision up to you guys. And it's just something that I needed to bring up to you guys so you know what's going on. I will be giving this to the CM and he'll be bringing it up in full council. Next is our grants. They are working on phase 2 on our parking lot already. We had some guys come and check it out and look around and see what needs to be done on that. So that project is ongoing. We continue with the senior activities and entertainment. Of course, they love their bingo, and we want to see more faces there for our lunch and our breakfast on Friday morning. So everybody's welcome. Any questions?
I have a question.
Counselor Didi Valdez.
Okay, so I'm going back to the Family Learning Center. and probably Mr. Maestas could help me. I know that the Espanola Public Schools gets federal funding. Every 100% of the Espanola Public School students receives free lunch. Isn't there a type of program or grant that the Family Learning Center can apply for? And if it's not going to be working out for the senior center, you're saying it puts a big strain on your staff and on the economy of the food cost. I wonder if the schools can provide, I know Espanola, the Redbirds, JHR, I think it's called, JHR maybe could provide the food for them?
Chair Rodriguez, members of the board, Ms. Dorothy Valdez. From what I understand, Kathy did mention that now during COVID, they were actually getting the free lunches from the schools. I'm not sure what the situation is this year. She did approach us for this year, being that the federal funds for COVID are no longer available. So I don't know if they're being charged as well when if the school serves them.
Honorable Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee, Counselor Valdez. So just to add on to what Dora mentioned, so the Family Learning Center is actually a 501c3 nonprofit, which I think comes into some issues when it comes to getting things through the school district precisely because of that, because they're their own entity. They don't necessarily fall under the spectrum of the PED or the public school system. Last year, they were able to receive the lunches because what happened was because of the amount of federal aid that was coming in, they were able to provide the meal service to them because they were, the way I understood it, a meal location. And so what happened was typically when we get the lunches for the summer food service program through the funding that they get through the state for that, they were able to be served as a meal site at the Family Learning Center. I know they reached out to the schools and we have the superintendent working with them on that, but I don't know. I think there is going to be a charge because they are their own entity. And it's kind of hard for me because I actually serve as the chairperson for the board of directors for the Family Learning Center. So this is one of the reasons why I had asked Dora to take it directly to the city manager so that there wouldn't be any questions in regards to me intervening or a conflict of interest in that aspect. But either way, I think they're going to have to figure out something where they will have to pay, but we do have the superintendent looking into that as well.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Counselor Salazar.
Thank you. Thank you, Dora. I know you probably want to do it, you and your staff. I know it's going to be a big burden. Before, when you guys did do it, you were probably fully staffed at the time. Are you guys fully staffed now?
Chair Rodriguez, members of the council, with the onboarding here pretty soon, one more KitchenAid, we will be fully staffed.
Okay, yeah, I mean, the price of the meal, it is a big difference, so.
Yes. And it goes as well for the seniors that we serve as well. So I'm sure you guys are all aware of that budget. So yeah, adding 72 more meals on there is just gonna make it a little bigger.
And Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee, just to also add on to that, the other concern is that since Rio Arriba County has not opened up their facilities for indoor dining, at least I don't think they have, the amount of population that the senior center is seeing has substantially increased to what we were seeing before when they were initially getting the meals from the senior center. So it really is going to put a strain, I think, on the staff, which is concerning to me because right now, one of the things that I'm concerned about as the division directors, I don't want our staff to start getting overwhelmed to the point where we're going to start losing staff. And I think Dora probably shares that same concern. It's been a good amount of time, I think, since we've actually been fully staffed at the senior center. So that is a big concern as well.
I think it would be a great service to support the Family Learning Center, but I also feel that we should break even at the very least, right? And I think staffing is a real concern as well. Thank you. Thank you for continuing to do an awesome job. We appreciate you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Sherry.
Good evening, committee members. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Okay, as my report states, the library staff has attended 6 webinars that's provided by the New Mexico State Library. And these are all free, so my staff signs up at least every month for some webinar that's related to their job titles and what they're doing in their the library. We've ended our summer reading program. We've had 48 teens or 48 children, 14 teens for a total of 62 participants, which is actually really kind of low compared to previous years. Pre-COVID, we used to have at least 100, 150 teens and children sign up for the reading program. Working with the Table Women United and Red Media on a podcast of the Seed Library, and that's hopefully going to air sometimes this month in August. I presented a to the Indigenous Gardeners Group. About 20 people came to the library. Several of them were from Hopi, Nambe, Tesuki, and those 4 of them from South America. They were in this group. So they came and they learned about the Healing Oasis Garden, and I showed them the seed library and all the things that we're providing there. I met with Lorraine Rivera from the McCurdy Charter School. She's been placed there, and they're currently trying to get their library together at McCurdy because they haven't had a library for a while. And I know that because that's how we started out in the library. So I'm kind of helping her, and we're trying to get donations of children's and teens and young adult books donated to her. So the Friends of the Library have also been helping in trying to gather some of that material for her. And we also received our 2020 Gold Bond, which is for $44,254.01, which I think was passed several weeks ago. So we're really happy for that. Yes, yay. We're still doing our grab and go craft bags for August. And we have at least 10 to 12 bags that go out every week. We have a different range of crafts there, and all my guys actually put all these together. So I'm really happy they do that. We're still doing our free movie afternoons, and we have 2 of them so far. We showed the Milagro Beanfield War, and then on the 29th, we have 1 more coming up. In our statistics for July, we've actually moved up compared to the one from last year in July. Our numbers have kind of, moved up a little bit more, and so is our revenue. And I've also finished the State Library fiscal year report, and that one for the fiscal year 22 statistics, we had library visitors of 40,000 that have come through the door compared to the 7,000 that came through the door last year. Total circulations, this is how many books that have gone out within the year, and it's 12,000 books that have gone out. We've provided 372 programs. And that's that. A lot of these aren't in person. These are all a lot of the grab and go crafts and some of the different events that we have in the library for the year. 2,154 people have attended those events throughout the year. Computer users, again, 204,465 have attended, come in and use the computers. Wi-Fi users, about 1,000 that have utilized our Wi-Fi and reference questions. We've answered 1,869 questions. Compared to, as you can see from the ones from last year. And our revenue is actually moving up also, the 4,000 for fiscal year this year compared to the 2,000 for last year. So we're moving up and we're just trying to get back into the swing of things there in the library. So hopefully we're getting a lot more people coming in this year. And we look forward to our numbers moving up again. And any questions?
No questions? I have one.
Okay.
You mentioned gold bond,
Go bond, the
Go bond.
Geo bond.
and you said, what was the amount?
44,254.01.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And all these grants that we receive do come from our fiscal year state report that I just finished turning in. So we get the Go bond, and then we also get a we have one more that we get through through this fiscal year report, the state aid. And that one is usually a little bit less, probably about maybe 7,000. But those are the two main grants that we receive once we fill out our fiscal year report.
Great one.
I have a question.
Yes, Counselor.
So on the Geo Go funds, are you going to purchase books for the library? Because I think you can purchase furniture too. I know the schools have options to purchase furniture with their Go funds. So what are your plans on spending that money?
Obviously retreat is out of the question, so. We were thinking of getting some different shelving. I think our library is full to capacity right now. So it's kind of hard to buy more things because it's like we have to move something out to bring something else in, and the furniture and everything we have right now is only like about maybe 5 years old, but we could always still replace a lot of the things that are in there. So we're gonna try and do those, get some new furniture. And we're going to probably get some more books and some more laptop computers.
Sherry,
Awesome.
what about electronic books? Do we have electronic books that we could maybe look at getting if we don't?
We probably could, we don't have any right now. We just kind of currently run off of the New Mexico State Library website where they offer the free ebooks online, and people can go in there without having to have their own computers at home, or and that was the problem. People having computers at home because we're so rural. A lot of people didn't have computers or have a tablet. So that was one of the things that we never invested in was ebooks. But I think we probably should, because there's a lot of people that are starting to come in and ask for that.
I think we should. I think that'd be a good idea for us to look into investing in that. I don't know if we can necessarily get devices that we can check out for that purpose, but I know even now with the schools, with a lot of, if not all of the students having their tablets, I think that may be a resource for us to start providing those ebooks to increase the literacy.
Yes.
That might be an idea.
And we do currently have 7 laptops that are available for city employees to check out if they need to utilize anything, especially if they're now with COVID and they need to have a computer at home to work on. So we do have those available.
Any more questions?
No questions, just comment. Thank you for, they seem pretty busy there at that library out kind of stuff. Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for such a thorough report.
Oh, you're welcome.
You cover everything. Thank you.
One question. You have reference questions. What kind of questions are?
Reference question, we don't the state library report asks, you know, reference questions, is anything except people that are asking for directions to any place. Those aren't really considered reference questions. So, things like, you know, where can I find these books? You know, how can I find, you know, information? There's a man that calls at least every other month that wants to exchange currency to the Philippines. So he calls and he asks, you know, how much is, you know, this compared to, you know, the dollar. So questions like that. And then we also count how many phone calls we get per day. And we have a lot of phone calls that come in from like Google. Google is saying, you know, you need to change your phone number now. We can get that. So,
Well, it's good to track all of that. That's important.
mhm. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is our recreation report.
Oh, you
Good evening, council members, Jeremy Amethyst. I'm actually really happy to mention that the pool at the Lucero Center pool is almost complete. And I mean almost, because we still have to go through the technicalities. One is to foresee if whether or not once filling it, the pump will continue to be as it was, along with the boiler. And then by turning on the HVAC, which, as all of you know, was highly pricey. So fingers crossed, and Santos de Cabeza, we're all there. I'm definitely putting those down. Definitely Angela, since she basically started from the get-go, doing this particular project, and along with Jeff, will be at hand in order to advise us what exactly are the next steps. Right now, as a matter of fact, right now I left the pool water running slowly, as we started it a little bit hard to, you know, open the whole thing, and it wasn't the best thing to do. So we lowered it, and then little by little we started filling up. So it is almost full, to tell you the truth. The community service personnel, which means those people who need to do community services, basically come in mostly in the afternoon in order to help out to clean out most of the debris that was left. The actual company that came in to do the project is supposed to come back in order to finish cleaning. And so until the pool is completely filled, from what I understand, according to Jeff, that's what it's supposed to pretty much happen. The pool is expected, let's hope with everything going on right, it's expected to open October 28th. And of course, after passing the environmental, the New Mexico environment test when they inspect it. So right now, Ranchitos Pool is going to be opening in the evenings in September from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. From what I understand, according to Ms. Ashley Schneider, who's our aquatics coordinator, the leisure pools is going to be asked to give us a quote for the kid pool, along with the boiler, and apparently Mr. Jeff Sargent and Jeremy are, you know, working that out and see how that is going on. As you know, we did lose lifeguard, Ms. Andrea Padilla, great asset. She really took really seriously as soon as she became, not became, but as soon as she turned 18 years old, she took the reins. And I mean, you know, having a mom like Angela Fresquez, she's expected, and of course, nothing less than expecting to follow through. And her leadership was really outstanding. As you notice in regards to the revenue for the most part, it increases this particular time of year. And there's a reason for that. Technically, because of leagues, as I mentioned before, adult leagues do bring quite a bit of revenue. I'm at this point trying to get a league for kids. And of course, the difference in that aspect is that the kids, anytime that I get any type of, or do any type of program for kids, parents need to come in and of course sign them up. Sign up the liability, or release of liability. And a lot of the parents are not willing to do that, some of them, not all of them. And then I'm having to find out if whether or not they're able to coach these little kids. Because obviously I'm not going to try to coach every single one of them in order to have this. So that's it. I'm pretty much getting in touch with some of the parents that are interested in soccer. This is a soccer league that will start in September. And it will continue until pretty much the number of teams that come in. And it also depends on that. So hopefully that'll be a go there. Exercise classes are always a good thing. And thank you, Councilor Rodriguez, for doing our aquatics exercise class in water aerobics. That from what I've heard, I have two young, well, they're not young, I'm sorry, but two ladies who also come to my class on Tuesday, Thursdays, then they brag about yours as well. So, yeah, thank you so much. Let's see, I do have to mention in regards to the mini Olympics, I was so psyched up for it, I kid you not. Information was disseminated, and different ways. I even went in at the fiestas and we were going to give out flyers. I put them on top of cars, and here I come back after going on vacation with my family. And of course, thank you, Jeremy, for approving the Puerto Vallarta one. But at any rate, after coming back from that, and I figured, okay, now I have what I need, and I can go with doing this incredible event. It really is. I've done it before, but as soon as I saw the registrations, and I asked my clerk, what happened? Why am I only getting this? And this is, I was so bummed out. And I'm like, I can't do this with just 20 kids or less than 50 kids at a high school when I had a stadium, because that's where you're supposed to be. So of course I mentioned it to Jeremy, and I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. It is the last weekend for kids to go back to school. Strike number one. It is where Chama days are happening, too. And I'm like, okay, do I have a third one? Sure enough, everybody's going camping. So, okay, so the only thing I can do is just postpone it. Just do it again. No, maybe it's gonna happen, because it's gonna happen. And this time I will be going to all of the schools in order to give the information to not only the physical education teachers, but every single teacher, in order to get these kids in. Whether they are good at it or not, it doesn't matter. I will also be adding practice
honey.
for the particular events that will be happening. I will include swimming, whether it's a freestyle and the backstroke, and then there's one more. I can't think of it right now, but I know that there's 3 for swimming as far as that. But like I said, I was totally bummed out about that. But sometimes that it's a reason. It happens for a reason. So I'm not going to worry too much about that, because I have something But for the most part, it'll happen. Now in April, it'll definitely happen in June. But I'm shooting for April. Crossing fingers. I will also have an after-school activities program, which means it's a kind of a 7 to 8 week, and see how that goes. That I will spearhead myself, 25 kids tops, ages 5 to 12. It'll include, it's a 2-hour from 4:30 to 6:30. And if they come in after that, it doesn't matter. So it basically 1 hour of physical activity. And then the second hour will be more in terms of healthy choices. Anything to do with getting somebody to come in order to talk about, what are you doing? How are you managing your stress? How are you managing anger management? How are you managing? So a lot of different things that will happen on that. It'll be from Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Like I said, 4:30 to 6:30. It is a $25 fee. On that end, however, if there's more kids, like let's say that there's 3 kids, siblings, then of course the price can go lower on that end. But right now, it's 25 per kids. As Jeremy mentioned, as far as the Spartans, most definitely, we do have the application for that. They have submitted liability insurance. I have 2 people that are spearheading that whole thing, Ms. Reina Bustamante, which is one of them, and Mr. Pino. Sorry, I can't remember his name, but I remember his last name. Other than that, gatherings and other events are still ongoing. I know that certain people, of course, as always, anytime that there is a gathering, they expect a lot more than what is stipulated on the application. And so when they come back and tell us, oh, well, we need the restrooms, oh, well, we need this, and well, we need that, and it's like, and you have to let them know, if you did not request it, ma'am or sir, it's not going to be done right now. Or today, there's no one anymore in order to happen. This has to be requested at the time that you apply. And so sometimes they don't like it, but for the most part, the following time that they, or whenever they come back, then they'll request it then. Other than that, it's time for questions. Councilor Didi Valdez.
Sorry, I couldn't get my microphone on. No, I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, I thought I had heard you.
I think she had forgotten.
Questions?
No.
Okay, so I have a couple of comments. Thank you for your hard work and the multi services that you're providing through the recreation department. Of course, I'm ecstatic about the poll. It's been a long time coming, and I appreciate the dedication and hard work that's been given to get that project complete. So thank you for that. Did you say, Ranchito's pool, you said would have the hours from 1 to 7?
1 p.m. to 7 p.m.
How many lifeguards do we currently have?
Right now, there's, let's see, 4 lifeguards and Miss Snyder. So total of 5, except because they are still going to school, so those are the timeframes that they are able to provide. And by the way, that's still pending if whether or not budget is going to approve to keep it to September.
You also mentioned volunteers for the program that you're planning on putting together from 4:30 to 6:30. What did you call it? The after?
Oh, this was the after school activities program.
the after-school activities program. I think it's really difficult to be able to put on all of these programs with the current staffing that you have.
Correct.
And so I kind of wonder, like, have you done any advertisements for volunteers for any of the activities that you're currently scheduling?
As a matter of fact, because I do run the adult leagues, yes. So from volleyball to softball, even outside of within here, yes, so I have done.
Maybe we should consider advertising in a newspaper,
Okay.
taking out an advertisement, looking for volunteers to help with such and such. Or again, using Kedise. We've talked about that in the past. I know volunteers are hard to get, I get that, but I also think that we need to use different venues to try and get the word out.
Not a problem.
You also mentioned that there would be a fee, which would be $25. And I understand that that's a very small fee. But can that fee be waived if there's a reason why a child can't provide $25 to participate? Is it something we've thought about?
Definitely. It basically deals with income level. So most definitely.
That's good to hear.
I have a question. Now that I heard Chair Rodriguez say about the fees, I know that, again, I just retired from the Espanol Public Schools, and the schools have a program called the 21st Century program, and it's free. The students are fed dinner, and it's just a continuation, not a continuation of the school day, but the parents do not have to pick up the children after school, or the children don't go home on the bus. They just stay after school, and they are provided activities, help with homework. And like I said, it's free. So I think, because I know you have to charge something, that's going to be probably hard to compete with, is that 21st Century program, especially. It's a really complete dinner that they are served to, and the parents pick them up at 5:15. Jeremy, correct me if I have given misinformation on that.
No, you're spot on, Counselor.
But I thank you for offering and wanting to provide that service to the students. I don't know how successful it would be. But if there are some families out there, because probably transportation will be an issue too, on getting them to the Lucero Center. So, but I mean, the idea is awesome. I don't know the feasibility of it, but let's hope for the best.
Thank you, Councilor.
How about looking for grant money to support a program like that, or a lot of the programs within your department? I know a lot of grantors love to give to children. It's just a matter of looking for it and applying for it. Thank you for your hard work and dedication.
Thank you, Councilor.
Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee, just to add on, I also want to thank Maria for her continued hard work in putting on these events for the different ages throughout the community. One of the things that we get dinged on a lot here at the city is the fact that we're not doing anything for our youth. We're not doing anything for the people to have recreational time, and Maria is constantly going nonstop with adults, with children, with people of all ages. So I'm really glad to see that this is continuing to go on under her leadership. I know it's kind of hard sometimes with the lack of staff, but Maria's a one-woman show, so I'm really thankful for her hard work, and I was really thankful that she actually took some time to go on a vacation. So when she asked me, can I go? I said, you go, Maria, you go and you enjoy that vacation. So thank you, Maria, for what you do for everybody here as far as the recreational activities go.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Maria. I think that's.
Chair Rodriguez, members of the committee, as you know, Project Grace is supposed to be reporting for the Community Services Committee. The report that Ms. Lentini did provide, the city manager has asked that that report be removed because it was not consistent with the reporting cycle. And I'm not sure why Ms. Lentini is not here today, but we have no further update in regards to her program.
Our next meeting is scheduled for September 19, 2022. And if there's nothing further, thank you for taking time out of your evening to join us. Very appreciated. And I adjourn this meeting.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.